Here's something you won't see every day. It's a combination gun made in Trier by a gun maker named Wagner. I've been researching this gun maker. I haven't had any luck finding much about him, but whoever he was, brilliant gun maker. You can see the action is unusually compact, and naturally I took it apart, and it's something inside. The combination is quite useful, 8x57R and 16 gauge. So the conditions are quite bad, as you can see up here, but we'll take a couple of shots. And mainly I wanted to show it to you as an example of top-level gun making from those times when the things that were made were lasting and meaningful. I know we have many more things now. I'm not sure how much meaning there is in almost anything, which is why these constantly go up in value. I don't want to swing it around too much. We can look at it again in the studio, but it's getting colder and colder, so we better shoot it while we can. I just set up this steel plate. It's not far away, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be. I just mainly wanted you to see it working and to show you just how extraordinary guns used to be. You can still get guns like this from Fairlock and other gun makers, but naturally they're quite expensive. Anyway, we'll close her up, and it's still tight, still excellent, all together. Fantastic gun. Okay, well let's shoot it. I can barely feel my hands. I actually don't know how I hit that, because I can't. The front sight was covered with snow, but you guess. So that was effortless, and as you can see, I used a rimless 8x57 round, so it didn't get caught by the extractor. So I would have to use a cleaning rod to take it out. I have 8x57 rimmed brass. Actually, one of our viewers, a real gentleman, Sean, you know who you are, sent me. I didn't have time to reload, so I just used regular 8x57. And then we've got a shot shell on the top, and you can take note of the asymmetrical greener cross bolt. That's cross bolt is here. This completes the locking. It's a fantastically strong system, not invented by Wagner, but nevertheless, it's what's used in many guns. What's interesting is that it's just on one side. I haven't seen that before. It had a claw-mounted scope at one time, and I've got a fellow working on sort of an adapted system, because many guns came over after or during the Second World War, and the claw-mounted scopes somehow got lost. So I'm having somebody work on a system to utilize the bases with more modern scopes. Anyhow, yeah, we close up and take another shot. Well, I'll just shoot into the snow. That proves nothing other than the gun works. It has a horn trigger guard, beautiful stock. This is replacement, unfortunate recoil pad. Typical cheek piece, respectable checkering, but the whole unit, I mean, the weight is so minimal. And can you believe that receiver and the engraving, the time and thought that went into this? I don't know, if you went to make something like this now, you would be looking at 20 grand if you could find somebody with the skill. This really is something. Anyway, we'll get out with better conditions and shoot it again. There are some details inside which you can't see that are actually quite exceptional. I don't think this was used much, and the rifle barrel's like new. And that was sort of a thoughtless, sightless shot. Has a folding leaf rear sight, which is typical. All right, well, that's probably enough on this one, but I'm glad I had a chance to show it to you. It really is exceptional. Sometimes people ask me, what's the engraving? So we've got rabbits or hares, and on one side, and then on the other. We may not focus in on this, but we can show you later. On this side is it's a roe deer, and you could look that up. They're quite common in Europe, not so much over here. Actually, I don't know, maybe some ranch has them, but I haven't seen any over here. They would be great to have for hunting and for seeing deer. Anyhow, all right, well, thanks for watching. It's not the best video because the conditions are terrible, but isn't that something? Truly remarkable work of art. A few days ago, we shot this Wagner combination gun. It's 8x57 and 16 gauge, just a beautifully made firearm. The weather conditions weren't the best up there, so I thought we'll just finish up with some footage here in the studio. It's probably the most perfect action I've seen in a combination gun. You can see how short it is, very compact. And I think we looked on Patreon at the internals, and it's even more magnificent. It's made in Trier, which is a famous city, as you probably know, but it reminds me of Fairlock. And the first time we filmed this, it had some stocking issues, but they've been resolved. The frame is tight to the buttstock now. The scallops are all properly done, so it's good. You can see this bad recoil pad. But that's okay. I'll probably have a leather recoil pad installed, so it's more or less ready to go. I mean, one could use it as is. And we didn't have 8x57R brass, which we now have. And here's what it actually takes. That's an 8x57R, and this is a standard 8x57. If you look closely, this has the rim and this doesn't. Most of you know this, but some of you don't. This is a 318 diameter bullet. These are Woodley bullets, and you'll see as I turn around the box, 8x57I, and I believe that stands for infantry. And there's, if you punch in 8x57I and 8x57S, you'll have all kinds of complicated discussions about treaties and why the 323 diameter bullet was used. And I have to tell you, I was shooting, I don't know how old I was, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. And, ignorance is bliss. I owned all kinds of 8x57s, military rifles, sporters. There was stuff all over the place. And I didn't know about 318 diameter bore or 323. And so I just shot the Remington 170 grain 8x57 factory round and just about everything. It was quite a mild loading. I don't think they load it anymore. And that's probably why I got away with it, because I fired it in 318 bores and 323 bores. And sometimes I would meet, a more advanced person, which mainly means an older person. And I was like 16, 17. And they would say the bore diameter is like 0.321. They had instruments to measure that. This is a 318. And just because I did it for so long, I just didn't have the rimmed cases. I got those from Sean, one of our advanced collectors on the channel, and I'll load those up naturally, but it digested those Remington 170s just like nothing, and quite accurate. It's missing the scope, which we talked about in the mountains, but it's virtually perfect to shoot, and the bore is excellent. I'll just review quickly. So it's a typical break open, and you can see the chambers, so 16 gauge up top and 8x57 below. And it has 2 cocking indicators here. Right, they're very small, but you can probably make them out. And then this might surprise you, it surprised me. It has a set trigger on the front, so that would set the front trigger, and then just touching the front trigger fires the rifle barrel, and of course that would be the shotgun barrel. There's no danger to pin breakage, but if they broke, I would just have to make new ones. Did we look at the engraving? We've got some hare or rabbit there, and then on this side, you can see, I mean, it's first class deep engraving. I don't know what this, the origin of this combination gun is. I think we've got a roe deer here. It's just virtually perfection engraving. Normally sometimes the engraver signs his work, and I actually haven't studied it in detail. Bottom is engraved too. Horn trigger guard. It's an unbelievable piece, and very light. That I noticed right away when I was shooting. It kicks because it's just so light, and it's stocked almost to what I would say is modern dimensions. A lot of those combination guns have more drop here, and so it's quite comfortable to shoot. It has a 2-leaf rear sight and a typical front sight on a solid rib that's matted. Something like this today would cost 10 grand at least. It's a remarkable work of art and usable hunting piece. I liked it a lot, and I think I mentioned in the mountains, but maybe not. If any of you know anything about Matthias Wagner from Trier, that would be very helpful, because I try to compile information so that when people ask me, I can tell them what I know at least. And I think we looked at this, but once again, look how unique the locking is. We've got a greener crossbolt, but it's only on one side. Normally, this would span. There would be another corresponding lock on the other side, but it is bank vault tight. All the springs are perfect, like the day it was made, and that tiny frame. You should see how ingenious the design is. Anyway, I hope you find that interesting. These Woodley bullets, what can I say? If you ever need good bullets, just get some of these Woodleys. Most of you know about them. And this brass is Norma. You can't go wrong with Norma brass. So I'll load up some of these. I'm always careful with committing to loading, because I've hand loaded for many years, decades actually. But I like having a clear mind, and you have to focus and so on. Don't want to make any mistakes. But I'll make some mild loads. There's no need to overburden such a fine action. And this would be for like 200-yard work, something like that. So one doesn't need, spectacular velocity. Something maybe a little bit more than a 30-30 would be fine. All right, well, quite a lovely piece. Some people looked at it and said it's museum quality. Well, it's pretty close, but what a lot of work somebody put into this gun. So look forward to hearing from you, and take care until next time. Thanks for watching.